The world stands at a critical juncture, facing unprecedented environmental challenges. Yet, despite the urgent need for change, a powerful force continues to shape our energy landscape. Today, we expose the trillion-dollar lie that's keeping us hooked on dirty energy. For decades, fossil fuel companies have woven a complex web of deception, obscuring the true costs and consequences of our reliance on oil, coal, and natural gas. This intricate tapestry of misinformation has not only delayed our transition to cleaner energy sources, but has also perpetuated a system that prioritizes short-term profits over long-term sustainability. At the heart of this deception lies a simple yet potent strategy: the externalization of costs. Fossil fuel companies have long enjoyed the privilege of offloading the true expenses of their operations onto society and the environment. The air pollution from burning fossil fuels, the contamination of water sources, and the devastating impacts of climate change are all costs that these companies have managed to keep off their balance sheets. This clever accounting trick has allowed dirty energy to appear artificially cheap, making it seem like the most economical choice for powering our world. But the reality is far different. When we factor in these hidden costs, the true price of fossil fuels becomes staggeringly high. Consider the health impacts alone. The World Health Organization estimates that air pollution, largely from the burning of fossil fuels, causes millions of premature deaths each year. The economic burden of these health issues runs into hundreds of billions of dollars annually. Yet this cost is borne not by the companies responsible, but by individuals, healthcare systems, and governments. The environmental toll is equally severe. Climate change, driven primarily by greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuels, is already causing more frequent and intense natural disasters. The cost of these events, from hurricanes and wildfires to droughts and floods, runs into the billions, affecting communities worldwide. Again, it's not the fossil fuel companies that foot this bill, but rather taxpayers, insurance companies, and those directly impacted by these disasters. But the deception doesn't stop at hidden costs. For years, fossil fuel companies have actively worked to sow doubt about the reality of climate change. Internal documents have revealed that many of these companies were well aware of the link between fossil fuel use and global warming as far back as the 1970s. Yet, they chose to fund climate denial campaigns, lobby against environmental regulations, and promote pseudoscientific studies that question the overwhelming scientific consensus on climate change. This deliberate misinformation campaign has delayed meaningful action on climate change for decades, allowing these companies to continue profiting from their destructive practices. The result is a world that is now facing a climate crisis, with the window for effective action rapidly closing. The trillion-dollar lie extends beyond just hiding costs and denying science. It also involves the promise of future technologies that will supposedly allow us to continue using fossil fuels without consequences. Carbon capture and storage, for instance, has been touted as a solution that will enable clean coal. However, the reality is that these technologies remain prohibitively expensive and unproven at scale, serving more as a public relations tool than a viable solution. Meanwhile, truly clean energy sources like solar and wind have seen dramatic cost reductions and efficiency improvements. Yet, the fossil fuel industry continues to argue that these renewable sources are not reliable or cost-effective enough to meet our energy needs. This narrative persists despite evidence to the contrary, with many countries successfully integrating large amounts of renewable energy into their grids. The consequences of this grand deception are profound. Our continued reliance on fossil fuels is not only accelerating climate change, but also perpetuating geopolitical tensions. As nations compete for control over dwindling oil and gas reserves, it's maintaining an energy system that is inherently volatile, subject to price shocks and supply disruptions that can wreak havoc on economies. So how do we break free from this cycle of deception? The first step is awareness. By understanding the true costs of fossil fuels and recognizing the tactics used to keep us dependent on them, we can make more informed decisions about our energy future. We must also demand transparency and accountability from both corporations and governments. This includes pushing for policies that internalize the true costs of fossil fuels, such as carbon pricing mechanisms and stricter environmental regulations. Ultimately, the transition to clean energy is not just an environmental imperative, It's an economic one. As renewable technologies continue to improve and scale up, they're increasingly outcompeting fossil fuels on cost alone, even without accounting for the hidden costs we've discussed. The trillion-dollar lie keeping us hooked on dirty energy is powerful, but it's not invincible. By exposing this deception and taking action, we can accelerate the transition to a cleaner, more sustainable energy future. The truth is our most potent weapon in this fight, and it's time we wielded it.